The lightning died the way a lie dies when it's finally cornered, violent, sudden, and leaving a stink behind. Mace Windu held the blade steady, the violet edge humming as if it hated the air it cut through. The Chancellor's office had become a ruined court. Carved panels scorched black, banners smoldering, the floor slick with rainwater blown in from shattered glass. Beyond the windows, Coruscant glittered with indifferent traffic, the city's veins still lit, while something ancient and malignant bled out at the heart of its power. Chancellor Palpatine knelt near the window ledge where his own storm had driven him. His hands were raised, fingers curled like talons that had forgotten how to pretend. His eyes were no longer the patient brown of a statesman. They were fever-bright, yellow-ringed, and full of starving hatred. He tried to shape his mouth into weakness. It didn't fit anymore. Mace Windu felt the vortex of Vapad like a blade inside his chest, spinning, hungry, dangerous. It begged to be fed. It begged to become the very thing it was meant to trap. Mace Windu had trained his whole life to stand where others could not, to draw the darkness toward him and give it nowhere safe to go. Chancellor Palpatine's lightning had poured into that circuit like a river into a canyon, and for a heartbeat Mace Windu had held it, had held all of it, without letting it become him. Now, there was only decision. On the floor, 3 Jedi Masters lay as if the room itself had murdered them and grown bored. Agent Kohler's lightsaber lay dark by his hand. CZ Tion stared sightlessly at the ceiling's gilded panels. Kit Fisto's face, usually bright with calm, was slack with the surprise of betrayal. Mace Windu did not look at them for long. Grief was a weight, and weight was how the dark side dragged you under. Chancellor Palpatine's voice came out as a rasp. "I am the Senate." Mace Windu heard it for what it was. A last spell, spoken because all his other spells had failed. The words were not a claim of law. They were a confession of hunger. "You were elected to serve," Mace Windu said, and felt the Force draw tight as a bowstring. "You chose to rule." Chancellor Palpatine's lips curled, the mask cracking to show the creature underneath. "The Jedi," he began, and then the sound turned, slicking itself into pity. "The Jedi will take over. You know it." Mace Windu's answer was not a speech. It was his feet sliding forward, grounded, decisive. It was the blade lifting, not in anger, but in judgment. For a fraction of a moment, Chancellor Palpatine's fear was naked. Not the theatrical fear he had worn for Anakin Skywalker. Real fear. The kind that belonged to a man who understood, too late, that his game had finally met a hand that would not be played. "No!" Chancellor Palpatine hissed, and his fingers twitched as if to conjure lightning from dead air. Mace Windu brought the lightsaber down. The violet arc cut through cloth and flesh, and the last brittle thread of the Sith Lord's breath. The sound was almost merciful, sharp, final, clean. Chancellor Palpatine's body sagged, collapsed, and slid against the rain-slick floor toward the window as if the city outside might welcome him back. It did not. Mace Windu stood over him, breathing hard, sweat mixing with ash on his brow. He felt a pressure in the Force like a great weight lifting. Then, immediately, the sickening sensation of a trap still closing. In the silence, the hum of his lightsaber sounded louder. A predator's purr in a dead room. He deactivated the blade. For the first time in days, there was no lightning, no laughter, no velvet voice offering safety at the cost of everything. There was only the rain and the distant throb of Coruscant's endless life, unaware that its king had fallen without ever having been crowned. And somewhere in the hall beyond the office doors, bootsteps were running. Anakin Skywalker hit the threshold like a thrown knife. His boots splashed through rainwater and glass, and his breath came too fast, as if he'd run not through corridors but through years. For a heartbeat he didn't see anything but Mace Windu's silhouette against the broken window and the night skyline beyond. Then his gaze dropped, and the world shifted under him. Chancellor Palpatine lay crumpled at the base of the window, robes darkened, face half-turned toward the city. The man who had always seemed unkillable in the Senate, immune to consequence, blessed by fate, looked suddenly small. Dead. Anakin Skywalker's throat tightened as if invisible hands had closed around it. Mace Windu stood between Anakin Skywalker and the body like a judge at the end of a trial. His robe was torn, singed at the hem. His face looked carved from stone. Stone that had seen too many wars and decided it would not be weathered by this one. Anakin Skywalker's voice cracked. "What did you do?" Mace Windu didn't flinch. "I ended it." Anakin Skywalker took one step forward, then another, pulled by disbelief. His eyes swept the room. 3 fallen Jedi Masters, scorch marks, the stench of ozone. His mind tried to fit it all into a shape he could carry. It wouldn't. "He was the Chancellor," Anakin Skywalker said, as if naming the title could resurrect a man. "He was the Republic." Mace Windu's eyes were hard. "He was Darth Sidious." The name hit Anakin Skywalker like a fist. He'd heard it in nightmares he didn't admit to, in whispers of the Force when the temple went quiet at night. Palpatine had never said it aloud, but the shape of it had always haunted him, an absence that made its own sound. "You were supposed to arrest him," Anakin Skywalker said. His hand drifted toward his own lightsaber without conscious thought. He was supposed to stand trial? Mace Windu's gaze flicked to that hand, then back to Anakin Skywalker's face. He controlled the courts. He controlled the Senate. He controlled the war. He would have slipped free, and you know it. "You don't know that," Anakin Skywalker snapped. Mace Windu stepped closer, and the air between them tightened. "I do, because he was not defenseless. He was performing. For you." Anakin Skywalker's chest rose and fell. The room felt smaller, as if the storm outside had pushed in to watch. He looked again at Chancellor Palpatine's body, searching for the illusion of weakness, the theatrical sag, the false helplessness that had begged Anakin Skywalker's mercy in his mind. But death had no theater. Death was honest. A tremor ran through Anakin Skywalker's fingers. Not grief. Not relief. Something worse. Loss with no place to go. "You took him from me," Anakin Skywalker said, and his own words startled him. He heard how it sounded. Possessive, childish, like a boy raging at the breaking of a toy. Mace Windu's expression did not soften. "You were being taken," Mace Windu replied, quiet as a blade sliding from its sheath. "He was turning you." Anakin Skywalker's eyes flashed. "He understood me." "That is what predators do," Mace Windu said. The violet of Mace Windu's lightsaber was gone now, but Anakin Skywalker could still feel it in the room, like a bruise on the Force. Palpatine's presence lingered too, not as a warmth or a comfort, but as a stain, an oily residue that clung to the air. Anakin Skywalker's mind leapt. Padme Amidala on a balcony, her hand on her stomach, her eyes soft with fear she tried to hide. The visions had come again, sharper, crueler. Palpatine had promised him a way out. Palpatine had promised. Palpatine was dead. Anakin Skywalker's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. He took another step, not toward the body, but toward Mace Windu. "You had no right." Mace Windu lifted a hand, palm outward. "Not a threat. A boundary. Don't die." The word was simple, but it carried a weight that made Anakin Skywalker's knees almost buckle. For an instant, Anakin Skywalker saw the room as it truly was, a battlefield that had nearly birthed an empire, a fulcrum on which everything had balanced. And Mace Windu had chosen. Anakin Skywalker's hand fell from his lightsaber. His voice dropped. Raw. "What happens now?" Mace Windu stared at him as if measuring the fracture lines in his soul. "Now," Mace Windu said, "we tell the truth." Outside, a siren began to howl. Coruscant's voice, waking too late. Anakin Skywalker looked once more at Chancellor Palpatine's corpse, and in the reflection of the storm-torn window he saw his own face, pale, stunned, lit by distant city fire. He turned away first. The corridor outside the office was already filling with men trained to believe in orders more than questions. The Coruscant Guard moved with disciplined urgency, white armor beaded with rain from the open terraces, boots ringing against the marble. Their helmets made them faceless, their blasters made them brave. Behind them, red-cloaked Senate guards hurried, their ceremonial armor suddenly looking thin against the smell of smoke. Mace Windu stepped into the hall as if he owned it. Not with arrogance, but with the unyielding certainty of someone who had just killed the most dangerous man in the galaxy and refused to allow panic to become his heir. "Hold," Mace Windu commanded. The front line of clone troopers halted so abruptly the men behind them bumped, then corrected, the formation tightening again. A commander pushed forward, Commander Fox, his red markings stark on his helm, visor fixed on Mace Windu like a blade. "Master Jedi," Commander Fox said, voice filtered, polite and edged. "By authority of the Supreme Chancellor." "The Supreme Chancellor is dead," Mace Windu interrupted. The sentence seemed to strike the air itself. A few troopers shifted, blasters lifting a fraction higher, as if disbelief could be answered with fire. Commander Fox's head tilted, and though no face showed, Mace Windu could feel the man's hesitation. "That's not possible." "It's done," Mace Windu said. "Lower your weapons." Commander Fox didn't. "I can't comply with that without confirmation." Anakin Skywalker hovered a step behind Mace Windu, silent, a storm contained in a man's skin. Mace Windu felt the heat of him, the rawness, the way his presence scraped at the Force like metal on stone. Mace Windu kept his voice steady. "Your confirmation is in that office, but you will not enter yet. You will seal this level. No one goes in. No one goes out." Commander Fox paused. "Master Jedi, the chain of command." "The chain of command has been rotted through," Mace Windu said. "And if you are truly a soldier of the Republic, you will not let rot spread." Behind Commander Fox, a Senate guard stammered, "Master Windu, we need to secure the Chancellor." "You will secure the Republic," Mace Windu said, and there was steel in it. Commander Fox's fingers tightened around his rifle. "With respect, Master Jedi, this sounds like a coup." The word hung, poisonous and sharp. It was the word Palpatine had wanted whispered into every ear. It was the word that could justify anything that came next. Mace Windu stepped closer until his robe nearly brushed the clone trooper's armor. "A coup requires ambition," Mace Windu said. "I have none. I have a corpse and a truth." Anakin Skywalker's voice suddenly cut in, hoarse. "Commander Fox, obey Master Mace Windu." Commander Fox's helmet turned as if startled that Anakin Skywalker had spoken. The Chosen One's reputation followed him like a banner. It made clone troopers believe. Commander Fox's gaze returned to Mace Windu. A long moment passed. Then Commander Fox lifted his hand and signaled. "Seal the level," Commander Fox ordered. The troopers moved at once, setting up barricades, locking blast doors, sending runners down the corridors. The Senate guards fell back, anxious and whispering. Mace Windu exhaled, but his shoulders remained tense. He wasn't relieved. He was aware. There was a difference. Anakin Skywalker leaned in, voice low. "You're making enemies." "I already had enemies," Mace Windu said. "Tonight, I killed their king. Now they will want a new one." Mace Windu turned to Commander Fox again. "Get me a secure line to the Jedi Temple," Mace Windu said, "and send word to Bail Organa. If he is still in this building, he needs to know what's coming." "Me, Andy, Karen, Ando, Got." Commander Fox hesitated. "Senator Bail Organa?" Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "Do it." Commander Fox nodded sharply and motioned to a trooper to run. Orders were easier when they sounded like routine. As the hall filled with the clatter of boots and the low buzz of comms, Mace Windu felt something prick at the edge of his senses, a whisper in the Force, cold as deep water. Palpatine was dead, but the shadow he'd cast did not die with him. Masameda arrived with the speed of a man who had rehearsed this moment in his nightmares. He pushed past Senate guards with a thin, trembling outrage. His tall frame hunched as if grief had already broken him. When the office doors opened and the smell of burned air washed out into the corridor, Masameda's eyes widened, then narrowed in a fraction of a second. Mace Windu almost missed. Masameda stepped into the ruined office with reverent horror, like a priest entering a desecrated temple. "Chancellor Palpatine," Masameda whispered. He dropped to one knee beside the body, hands fluttering as if he wanted to touch, but feared what the touch would mean. His face, always so carefully neutral, twisted into grief that looked, to Mace Windu, practiced. Masameda lifted his gaze toward Mace Windu, and in his eyes was a question shaped like accusation. "What have you done?" Mace Windu didn't move. "I stopped him." Masameda's lips parted. "Stopped him?" Masameda's voice rose, filling the room with a sound like scandal. "Master Jedi, this is the head of state. This is Darth Sidious," Mace Windu said, and the name landed like a hammer on the marble. Masameda froze, breath caught. It was a good freeze, perfectly timed. But Mace Windu saw the flicker behind it, the quick calculation of a man deciding which truth would save him. Masameda shook his head slowly, sorrowful. "Impossible." "Look at him," Mace Windu said. Masameda did, and the mask of mourning wavered. Chancellor Palpatine's face in death held none of the softness Masameda would have needed it to hold. The lines were too sharp, the expression too hungry. The yellow eyes remained open, staring at nothing, and Masameda's throat bobbed as if he'd swallowed something bitter. Anakin Skywalker stood in the doorway, silent, hands clenched. His gaze jumped between Masameda and the corpse, and Mace Windu could feel how the sight cut him. Masameda rose carefully, smoothing his robes with shaking hands. "You understand what this looks like," Masameda said, voice lowered now, intimate, dangerous. "The Jedi Council, the Senate, the people, they will not accept this. They will believe the Jedi have assassinated the Chancellor. Then, the people have been trained to believe what he wanted," Mace Windu replied. "That's why we must show them what he was." Masameda's eyes glinted. "And who will decide what is shown? The Jedi?" Mace Windu felt the trap. Palpatine's voice echoed in the edges of it. "The Jedi will take over. You know it." Mace Windu stepped closer until Masameda had to look up at him. "We will not take over," Mace Windu said. "We will step back and tell the Senate what it has been kneeling to." Masameda's smile was small, tight. "The Senate will demand answers. The Senate will demand someone to blame. The Senate will demand the truth," Mace Windu said. Masameda's gaze slid toward the windows, toward the city where 1,000,000 beings were living their evenings unaware that their history had just cracked. "Truth is not what keeps the Republic together," Masameda murmured. "Order is." Mace Windu looked at him with sudden clarity. "Order," Mace Windu said, "is what he called his tyranny." Masameda's hands curled, then unclenched. He bowed his head. Grief returned like a cloak. "Then we must convene an emergency session," Masameda said, voice carrying toward the Senate guards now watching in hungry fear. "For the good of the Republic." Mace Windu knew a weapon when he heard one. Masameda turned toward the door, eyes bright with tears that might have been real fear at least. "Commander Fox," Masameda called. Commander Fox appeared in the doorway, blaster lowered but ready. "Vice Chair," Commander Fox said. Masameda's voice sharpened. "Secure this building. No Jedi leave." Anakin Skywalker stiffened. Mace Windu's eyes narrowed to slits. Commander Fox hesitated, caught between two authorities now, both claiming to speak for the Republic. Mace Windu spoke first, voice calm enough to slice. "No one is taking anyone," Mace Windu said. "Not until the Council has been informed and the Senate has been told the truth." Masameda's jaw tightened. "The Jedi have murdered the Chancellor," Masameda said softly, like a man reciting an inevitability. Mace Windu leaned in. "Say that again," Mace Windu said, "and I will treat you as what you are." Mazameda's eyes widened, offended. "And what is that, Master Jedi?" Mace Windu's stare did not blink. "A man who served a Sith." The air in the room became ice. Mazameda looked away first. The hollow projector hummed as if it too understood the stakes. Blue light spilled across the scorched office, painting the damage in ghost colors. Mace Windu stood over the emitter like a commander at a war table, and the Jedi Council appeared in broken fragments, faces split by static, bodies half swallowed by interference, the galaxy's guardians reduced to light and noise. Yoda's image trembled with the distortion of distance, the green of Kashyyyk behind him like a living wall. Wookiee shapes moved in the background, tall and watchful. Their world a jungle that had never pretended to be civilized. Yoda's eyes were narrowed, his expression unreadable. Ki-Adi-Mundi's projection hovered beside him, the Syrian's face long and grave. Plo Koon's mask gleamed, impassive. Shakti's leka shifted slightly, a quiet sign of shock. Obi-Wan Kenobi's hollow did not appear at once. Then it flared, flickering, the rocky sinkholes of Utapau behind him, his voice arriving a beat late. "Mace Windu," Obi-Wan Kenobi said. "What's happened?" Mace Windu did not give them poetry. "Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious," Mace Windu said. "He killed Agent Kohler, CZ-Tien, and Kit Fisto. I killed him." The silence that followed was not empty. It was full of things unsaid. The weight of prophecy, the shame of blindness, the question of whether the Jedi had just saved the Republic or damned it. Anakin Skywalker stood at Mace Windu's shoulder like a storm cloud forced into human shape. He kept his eyes on the floor, jaw tight, refusing to be seen while still needing to be heard. Yoda's ears drooped slightly. "Sensed. A great shudder I did," Yoda murmured. "Gone the shadow is." Mace Windu heard the uncertainty in it. The shadow was gone, but the night remained. "Not entirely," Mace Windu said. "The Senate will call this assassination." "Evidence," Ki-Adi-Mundi said immediately, practical as always. "You must have evidence." Mace Windu nodded. "We are securing the office. There are hidden chambers, Sith artifacts. I can feel them." Shakti's voice was a careful thread. "And Anakin Skywalker?" Anakin Skywalker's head lifted sharply. Everyone looked at him at once, their attention like a net. "He arrived after," Mace Windu said before Anakin Skywalker could speak. "He saw the body. He understands what Palpatine was." Anakin Skywalker's eyes flashed as if to argue, then softened into exhaustion. "Anakin Skywalker understands," Anakin Skywalker said, voice controlled to the point of pain. "That Chancellor Palpatine is dead." Obi-Wan Kenobi's brows drew together. "Anakin Skywalker, are you all right?" Anakin Skywalker's laugh was hollow. "No." Yoda's gaze pinned Mace Windu. "Careful. We must be. War still rages." "Oi? It won't for long," Obi-Wan Kenobi said, and behind the flicker in his hollow, Mace Windu saw the set of his shoulders, the readiness. "General Grievous is cornered. Commander Cody and I are moving now." Mace Windu nodded. "Finish it. End the Separatist leadership if you can, but do not." He stopped. In the other timeline, he knew what would have come next. Do not return. Do not trust the clones. Do not turn your back. But that future had died with Palpatine. "Do not let this distract you," Mace Windu finished. "But be ready. The Republic is going to convulse." "Nan. Why? Be." Plo Koon's voice rumbled through the static. "The Senate will turn on the Jedi. Then we must not give them reason," Shakti said. Mace Windu's jaw tightened. "The reason already exists. They only need someone to point to it." Yoda's image leaned forward. "Return to the temple, you should," Yoda said, and his tone made it an instruction, not a suggestion. Bring Anakin Skywalker. Guard the truth. And the body? Ki-Adi-Mundi asked. If the Senate seizes it. Mace Windu's gaze flicked to Chancellor Palpatine's corpse, still sprawled near the window like a fallen statue. They will not, Mace Windu said. Anakin Skywalker's voice was quiet. You can't keep a dead Chancellor like a hostage. Mace Windu did not look away from the body. I'm not keeping him, Mace Windu said. I'm keeping what he was from being rewritten. Yoda's eyes narrowed. Dangerous, this path is. Mace Windu's smile was grim. We're past safe paths. Obi-Wan Kenobi's hollow crackled. Mace Windu, if the Senate moves against you, call me. Mace Windu nodded once. Finish Utapau, Mace Windu said. Then, come home. The hollow shimmered. The council's faces faded, leaving only smoke and rain and a dead Sith Lord. Anakin Skywalker stared at the empty blue light, as if hoping it would tell him what to do with the hole that had opened inside him. Mace Windu turned to him. Come, Mace Windu said. We go to the temple. Anakin Skywalker did not move for a moment. Then he followed, because there was nowhere else to go. Utapau smelled like old bones and the sweat of machines. Obi-Wan Kenobi urged the boga forward along the narrow walkway, the beast's claws scraping stone. Below, in the yawning sinkhole, fighters streaked past like insects in a storm. The clone troopers moved with ruthless rhythm, their armor already scuffed, their discipline a kind of prayer. Commander Cody jogged beside Obi-Wan Kenobi, helmet tucked under one arm, face set. General Kenobi, Commander Cody called over the roar of blaster fire. We've got separatist droids falling back into the lower levels. Obi-Wan Kenobi nodded, eyes scanning for the telltale movement that would betray General Grievous. He'll run, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. He always runs. But something in the Force tugged at him. A thread pulled too hard. A great disturbance, like a bell struck in a temple far away. Obi-Wan Kenobi's grip tightened on the reins. Sir? Commander Cody asked, seeing the change. Nothing. Obi-Wan Kenobi lied, and hated the lie even as he spoke it. It wasn't nothing. It was absence, as if a pressure that had been squeezing the galaxy had suddenly released. Obi-Wan Kenobi vaulted from the boga onto a platform as the beast hissed and bounded away. He sprinted toward the catacombs entrance where shadows pooled thickly, General Grievous' kingdom of steel and hate. Inside, the air turned cold. Industrial lights cast long, sharp beams, making every column look like a prison bar. Obi-Wan Kenobi's footsteps echoed, lonely in the cavernous space. Then the cough laugh came, metallic and contemptuous. Jedi? General Grievous rasped, stepping from behind a pillar like a warlord from an old tale. 4 arms unfolded, and with them 4 stolen lightsabers ignited, blue and green and the cruel memory of dead men. Hello there, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, because some part of him insisted on manners even at the edge of death. General Grievous lunged. Obi-Wan Kenobi met him with his own blue blade, sparks flying, the clash ringing like swords in a stone hall. It felt medieval here, close, brutal, intimate. Nothing like the clean duels of temple sparring rooms. Each strike carried the weight of years of war. General Grievous pressed, spinning blades a blur. Obi-Wan Kenobi gave ground, parrying, stepping, keeping his breathing slow. The Force moved through him like water, steady, patient. You will die, General Grievous hissed. And your republic will fall with you. Obi-Wan Kenobi's mind flashed with Mace Windu's voice, distorted through hollow. Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious. I killed him. Obi-Wan Kenobi nearly missed a strike. General Grievous' blade scraped Obi-Wan Kenobi's shoulder armor, scorching it. Obi-Wan Kenobi rolled away, heart hammering. The Chancellor dead. A Sith in the Senate. Mace Windu forced to kill. The galaxy was changing while Obi-Wan Kenobi fought in a pit. General Grievous advanced, triumphant. Obi-Wan Kenobi's eyes flicked to a fallen blaster on the floor, a clone trooper's weapon discarded in the chaos. Obi-Wan Kenobi sidestepped a strike, kicked General Grievous' leg, and as the cyborg stumbled, Obi-Wan Kenobi dove for the blaster. He rose, firing. The bolts tore into General Grievous' chestplate. The cyborg shrieked, a sound like a beast being butchered, and flame burst from within him. General Grievous staggered backward, clutching at himself, eyes wild. Obi-Wan Kenobi kept firing until General Grievous collapsed, burning, the stolen lightsabers clattering uselessly to the floor. Silence returned, broken only by the crackle of fire. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood over the smoking ruin of his enemy, breathing hard. Commander Cody's voice crackled over calm. "General Kenobi, we've..." Obi-Wan Kenobi cut in. "General Grievous is dead," Obi-Wan Kenobi said. "Begin the sweep. And Cody?" "Sir?" Obi-Wan Kenobi swallowed. "Stay alert," Obi-Wan Kenobi said. "Something has happened on Coruscant." Commander Cody's pause was brief. "Understood." Obi-Wan Kenobi stared into the smoke and felt again that hollow in the Force, like a throne suddenly empty. He had ended a warlord. But far away, another war had begun. Padme Amidala had always hated Coruscant in the rain. The city became a mirror then, slick and shining, full of reflections that made truth hard to find. The traffic lanes outside her balcony turned into ribbons of light, and the towers disappeared into storm cloud like the tips of spears stabbed into the sky. She stood by the window with her hands pressed to her stomach, feeling the subtle weight of the life inside her, feeling how the Force, though she could not name it that way, seemed to thicken when Anakin Skywalker was near. When the door chimed, she didn't ask who it was. Her heart answered first. Anakin Skywalker stepped inside like a man walking out of a battlefield and into a chapel. His hair was wet, his cloak dripping onto the polished floor, his eyes fevered. Padme Amidala crossed the room in 3 quick steps and reached for him. "Anakin Skywalker, what is it?" Anakin Skywalker caught her wrists, not hard but desperately, as if he needed the contact to prove she was real. He stared at her face as though memorizing it against some future theft. "Chancellor Palpatine is dead," Anakin Skywalker said. Padme Amidala blinked once, twice. The words didn't fit. Chancellor Palpatine had been a fixture of the Republic for so long that imagining him gone was like imagining gravity gone. "How?" Padme Amidala whispered. Anakin Skywalker's throat worked. "Mace Windu killed Chancellor Palpatine." The room seemed to tilt. Padme Amidala's hands went cold. "The Jedi." "Chancellor Palpatine was Sith," Anakin Skywalker said quickly, the sentence pouring out as if it burned him. "Mace Windu said Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious, the one behind the war." Padme Amidala stared at him. She had suspected corruption, yes. She had watched the Senate's soul rot from the inside. She had feared what Chancellor Palpatine was becoming. But Sith? The old enemy from stories and teachings? The shadow her Naboo nursemaids had used to scare children into bed? Anakin Skywalker's fingers tightened around her wrists. "Padme Amidala, I saw him. I saw what he looked like. Mace Windu was right." Padme Amidala swallowed hard. "And you? You let Mace Windu do it?" The question landed between them like a thrown gauntlet. Anakin Skywalker's face twisted. "I didn't stop it," Anakin Skywalker said, voice breaking. "I got there too late." Padme Amidala heard the grief under the anger, and it frightened her. Anakin Skywalker's grief always carried lightning in it. She drew him closer, pressing her forehead to his. "Anakin Skywalker," Padme Amidala murmured. "This changes everything." Anakin Skywalker gave a harsh laugh. "It changes nothing," Anakin Skywalker said. "The war is still going. The Senate will still lie, and I still..." He stopped, the words catching, eyes flicking to her stomach like he couldn't bear the vulnerability of naming it. Padme Amidala's hand slid to his cheek. "You still have your nightmares," Padme Amidala said softly. Anakin Skywalker's eyes squeezed shut. "They're not nightmares," Anakin Skywalker whispered. "They're visions. I saw you die, Padme Amidala." The confession made Padme Amidala's breath hitch. She had sensed his fear, had watched it curl around him like smoke, but hearing it said aloud made it real. Padme Amidala took his hands and placed them on her belly. "I'm here," Padme Amidala said, forcing steadiness into her voice. "I'm alive. This child is alive. And we will not let a vision rule us." Anakin Skywalker's fingers trembled against her gown. "Chancellor Palpatine said there was a way," Anakin Skywalker confessed, and the shame in it was sharp. "A way to stop death." Padme Amidala's eyes widened. "What did Chancellor Palpatine offer you?" Anakin Skywalker's jaw clenched. "Power," Anakin Skywalker said. "The kind the Jedi would never teach." Padme Amidala's heart sank, not with anger but with dread. Chancellor Palpatine had always been close to Anakin Skywalker, always whispering in his ear, always praising him when the council scolded. She had thought it was politics, Chancellor Palpatine collecting heroes like jewels. She saw now it had been something older and uglier. Padme Amidala tightened her grip on Anakin Skywalker's hands. "Chancellor Palpatine is gone," Padme Amidala said. "Whatever bargain he was offering died with him." Anakin Skywalker's eyes flicked up, haunted. "I don't know if it did." Padme Amidala's skin prickled. "What do you mean?" Anakin Skywalker looked toward the rain-streaked window, toward the glittering city that would soon be screaming. "Mace Windu thinks the Republic can survive this," Anakin Skywalker said. "But the Senate will blame the Jedi. They'll say it was a coup." Padme Amidala's mind raced. She pictured Masameda's smooth voice, the Chancellor's loyalists in their crimson robes, the terrified senators who clung to safety like drowning men. "They will," Padme Amidala said, and the certainty of it tasted like ash. "They will use this to shackle the Jedi, or to destroy them." Anakin Skywalker's gaze returned to her, fierce and frightened. "And where does that leave us?" Padme Amidala cupped his face with both hands. "With each other," Padme Amidala said. "And with the truth. Bail Organa will stand with the truth. Mon Mothma will stand with the truth. I will stand with the truth." Anakin Skywalker's lips parted as if he wanted to believe, but belief did not come easily to him anymore. Outside, Coruscant's sirens wailed louder. Padme Amidala drew Anakin Skywalker into her arms, holding him as if she could anchor him to the world. And in the stormlight, his eyes looked like a man watching the edge of a cliff. The hidden door was not concealed with cunning. It was concealed with arrogance. Mace Windu found it behind a polished panel that looked like decoration until the Force whispered that it was a lie. A soft press in the right place, a sigh of releasing seals, and a narrow passage yawned open as if the building itself had been holding its breath. The air that came out was old and dry, smelling faintly of dust and burned incense. Not the clean incense of the Jedi Temple. This was heavy, sweet, and wrong. Mace Windu led the way down, flanked by temple guards in their ridged armor and scarlet cloaks, their electrostaffs held ready. They moved like soldiers in a crypt, aware that the dead sometimes had teeth. The passage sloped into darkness. The light from above died quickly, replaced by the pale glow of a small emitter in a guard's hand. Shadows stretched across the walls, and for a moment, Mace Windu imagined he saw shapes moving in those shadows that did not belong to any living thing. Anakin Skywalker was not with them. Mace Windu had left Anakin Skywalker with a temple guard escort under strict instruction to return to the temple. Mace Windu did not trust Anakin Skywalker's temper in a Sith lair. He did not trust his own either. The passage ended in a chamber that should not have existed beneath the Republic's executive heart. The walls were carved from black stone that drank light. Symbols were etched into them, shallow and sharp, language that looked like wounds. A low dais sat in the center, and on it rested a small geometric object that pulsed faintly red as if it contained a heartbeat. A Sith holocron. One of the temple guards took an instinctive step back. "Master Jedi," the guard murmured, voice strained. "I know," Mace Windu said. The force in the room felt thick, like smoke you could choke on. Mace Windu stepped forward carefully, every muscle taut. He did not touch the holocron. He did not need to. The thing wanted to be touched. It wanted to whisper. Along the chamber's edges were shelves and cases, objects of ritual and ruin. A metal mask, half melted as if it had been held in a fire. A dagger with a blade that seemed to absorb the light around it. A cluster of rings and amulets that felt like cold hands. This was where Chancellor Palpatine had prayed, if prayer was what the Sith did. One case held datapads, Republic tech beside Sith relics, pragmatism married to blasphemy. Mace Windu activated the first pad and read a string of encrypted communications. Names flickered: Dooku, Grievous, Gunrays, and trade barons. The war, laid out like a ledger. He felt a surge of anger, clean and sharp, and clamped down on it immediately. Anger was easy. Righteous anger was easiest of all. That was why it was dangerous. Another pad contained contingency orders, numbers, and code words. Mace Windu's eyes narrowed at the cold efficiency of it. Order 65. Order 66. 67. Mace Windu felt his stomach tighten. He remembered rumors from clones, talk of protocol, of contingency plans for the unthinkable. The Jedi had dismissed it as soldiers' lore, as bureaucracy made absurd. Mace Windu read the description of Order 66 and felt the Force shudder. The Jedi were not paranoid enough. One of the temple guards, braver than wise, reached toward the holocron. Mace Windu's voice snapped like a whip. Daunt, day. The guard froze, hands suspended. Master Jedi. That thing is a mouth, Mace Windu said, and his eyes stayed on the holocron as if it might open. It will tell you what you want to hear, and it will ask for the price in pieces. The guard lowered his hands slowly. Mace Windu turned back to the datapads and began copying everything to a secure device. Evidence. Truth, made into something that could survive the Senate's knives. Above them, the building trembled faintly. Distant alarms. The muffled rush of boots. Time was bleeding away. Mace Windu took one last look at the holocron, at the red pulse like a sleeping eye. He imagined Chancellor Palpatine kneeling here, hands extended, promising himself the galaxy. Mace Windu exhaled through his nose. Seal this chamber, Mace Windu ordered. No one enters without my word. The temple guards moved to comply, placing portable locks, activating a field generator. The air shimmered as the entrance hardened into an invisible wall. As they climbed back toward the Chancellor's office, Mace Windu carried the datapad with the contingency orders like a weight of ice. If the Senate discovered these before the Jedi did, they would use them. If the Jedi used them, they might become the thing they feared. The Republic was balanced on a sword's edge, and Mace Windu had just learned that the sword was poisoned. The Senate chamber had never felt so much like a pit. It was designed to impress. Endless tiers, floating pods, banners, and light. But tonight, the grandeur failed. Fear made everything smaller, uglier. Senators huddled in clusters, whispering with the frantic intensity of courtiers hearing that the king had died without naming an heir. Mace Windu stood at the Chancellor's dais, with a composure that looked like grief from a distance and like ambition up close. The vice chair's robes fell in heavy folds, his hands resting on the railing as if he could steady the whole Republic by sheer will. Order, Mace Windu called, and the word sounded like a threat. Bail Organa stood in his pod, shoulders squared, the blue of Alderaan's finery muted by the chamber's harsh light. Beside him, Padme Amidala's face was pale but controlled, her eyes fixed on Mace Windu like a blade watching another blade. Mace Windu entered under escort, temple guards and Coruscant guard flanking him. The sight of a Jedi Master in the Senate chamber was not unusual. Jedi had always been called to testify, to advise, to reassure. Tonight, it looked like an invasion. A murmur spread. Anger, fear, fascination. Mace Windu's gaze locked on Mace Windu. Master Windu, Mace Windu said, voice ringing through the chamber's amplifiers. You stand accused of the assassination of Chancellor Palpatine. The word assassination rippled through the pods like poison poured into water. Mace Windu lifted his chin. Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious, Mace Windu said, and he let the name hang. Chancellor Palpatine engineered this war. Chancellor Palpatine betrayed the Republic. Laughter, sharp, disbelieving, broke from somewhere high in the tiers. A Sith? A senator scoffed. That's Jedi superstition. Another voice shouted, the Jedi have wanted control since Naboo. The chaos swelled until the chamber became a storm of accusations. Padme Amidala stepped forward. Senators, Padme Amidala called, and her voice, trained in diplomacy and sharpened by years of betrayal, cut through the noise. Listen to yourselves. You are demanding blood before you have demanded truth. Masameda's expression tightened. Senator Padme Amidala, Masameda said, polite as a knife. This is not your... This is everyone's, Padme Amidala snapped, and the chamber quieted, startled. Padme Amidala did not often show her anger in public. When she did, it meant the Republic was bleeding. Bail Organa raised a hand. Masameda, Bail Organa said, voice calm. If Chancellor Palpatine was murdered, then we investigate. But if Master Windu speaks truth, then the Senate owes the Jedi more than accusation. We owe the galaxy a reckoning. Masameda's eyes narrowed. And what would you propose, Bail Organa? That we accept the Jedi's word as law. Mace Windu's jaw clenched. He could feel the chamber turning against him like a tide. Palpatine's propaganda had been slow poison. It had taught the Senate to fear Jedi authority even while relying on Jedi victory. Mace Windu lifted a datapad. Evidence, Mace Windu said. A hush fell. Holoscreens flared above the dais, projecting fragments, encrypted communications, orders signed with the Chancellor's codes, recordings of Darth Sidious's voice, speaking to separatist leaders. The sound was distorted, but the menace was unmistakable. Gasps rose from the pods. Senators leaned forward, faces lit by blue hololight like firelight in a hall of conspirators. Masameda's composure did not break. Forgery, Masameda said instantly. Padme Amidala's eyes flashed. Forgery? Padme Amidala demanded. Then submit it to independent verification. Masameda's gaze slid toward her, cold. Independent verification, Masameda repeated, as if tasting the phrase. By whom? The Jedi Council? The courts the Jedi influence? Bail Organa's voice hardened. By the Senate's own Intelligence Committee, Bail Organa said. By neutral worlds. By any process that is not your word against theirs. No. Masameda's lips thinned. Neutral worlds do not exist in war, Masameda said. Mace Windu stepped forward another pace. He could feel eyes on him like arrows. Then listen to the Force, Mace Windu said. A bitter laugh erupted. We are not Jedi, someone shouted. Mace Windu's gaze swept the chamber. And that's why the Sith won, Mace Windu said quietly, and the chamber went still, not because they agreed, but because the sentence felt like an accusation carved into stone. Masameda's voice rose, filling the silence. The Jedi admit to killing Chancellor Palpatine, Masameda declared. The Jedi admit to acting outside the law. For the security of the Republic, I call for the immediate detainment of Master Mace Windu pending investigation. Temple guards tensed. Coruscant guards shifted, hands tightening on blasters. Padme Amidala's heart hammered. She looked at Bail Organa, and in his eyes she saw the same calculation she felt. If the Jedi were seized tonight, the truth would be buried by morning. Bail Organa stepped forward, his voice like a banner unfurling. I object, Bail Organa said. The Republic does not heal by chaining the truth. Masameda's gaze sharpened. Then you stand with traitors. Padme Amidala's voice came low, fierce. Then we stand with the Republic. For a breath, it felt like the Senate might split in two, like a realm about to tear itself apart over succession. Mace Windu stood in the center of it, a lone figure in scorched robes, realizing that killing a Sith Lord had been simpler, than convincing frightened politicians not to crown another. Commander Fox moved like a man walking onto a knife edge. He stepped from the guard line into the open space near the dais. Helmet on, blaster lowered but pointed where it could become a decision in a heartbeat. Behind him, Coruscant guard clones formed a neat, unforgiving wall. Across from them, temple guards held their staves and did not retreat. The Senate chamber felt suddenly smaller, the distance between war and politics erased. Mace Windu leaned forward. "Commander Fox," Mace Windu said, voice smooth with authority. "Detain Master Mace Windu. Now." Now. Commander Fox's helmet turned slightly, and though no one could see his eyes, everyone felt his hesitation. Commander Fox had been trained for riots, assassinations, separatist plots. Commander Fox had not been trained for a republic that didn't know who it belonged to. Mace Windu did not ignite his lightsaber. He did not even raise his hands. He stood with the stillness of a man who understood that the first swing would decide the story the galaxy told afterward. Bail Organa's voice cut in, sharp. "Commander Fox, on whose authority?" Mace Windu's head snapped toward Bail Organa. "By authority of the Senate Vice Chair," Mace Windu said, acting in the absence of the Chancellor. Padme Amidala's stomach churned. Absence, he called it, as if Chancellor Palpatine had simply stepped away and would return when the noise quieted. Bail Organa pressed. "And is there a vote? Is there an emergency declaration? Or is it your will alone?" Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "The Republic does not have time for procedure." Padme Amidala heard the echo of Chancellor Palpatine's voice in it. "The Republic does not have time. There is a threat. There must be security. There must be. Always must be." Commander Fox turned his helmet toward Mace Windu. "Master Jedi," Commander Fox said, voice formal, strained. "Please surrender peacefully." Mace Windu's eyes were steady. "Commander Fox," Mace Windu said, "if you detain me, who do you serve? The Republic? Or the shadow that tried to devour it?" Commander Fox's grip tightened on his blaster. Mace Windu snapped, "Do it!" Mace Windu's voice lowered, not loud but heavy. "You saw the evidence," Mace Windu said. "You have stood beside Jedi in war. You know what we are." "Nee." Commander Fox hesitated again, and Padme Amidala realized what he was weighing. Not ideology. Not loyalty. Survival. If Commander Fox chose the wrong authority tonight, he would be executed tomorrow by whichever authority survived. Bail Organa took one step closer, hands open. "Commander Fox," Bail Organa said, "do not let fear make you a blade for someone else's hand. Stand down. Let investigation proceed. No one needs to die in this chamber." Mace Windu's face tightened with rage disguised as sorrow. "Bail Organa is attempting to obstruct justice," Mace Windu declared. "This is sedition." Padme Amidala's voice rose, clear. "No," Padme Amidala said. "This is the Senate remembering it has a spine." Some senators began to shout support. Others shouted back. Pods drifted, clustering like rival houses in a great hall. The tension turned into a living thing, coiling, waiting. Mace Windu felt it too. He could feel fear rippling through thousands of minds, could feel the dark side trying to hook into that fear and pull. He lifted the datapad again. "Chancellor Palpatine created contingency orders," Mace Windu said. "Orders that allow the military to turn on the Jedi with a single command. If you detain me, you may be stepping into the first move of that trap." Mace Windu's eyes flickered. Just once. Padme Amidala saw it and felt cold certainty bloom. Mace Windu knew. Commander Fox's voice came slowly. "Contingency orders." Commander Fox repeated, and there was something almost human in the way the word landed, like a soldier suddenly realizing his own leash existed. Mace Windu nodded. "Ask your commanders. Ask your Kaminoan overseers. Ask why those orders exist." Mace Windu's voice sharpened. "Commander Fox." Commander Fox raised a hand, interrupting the vice chair. The gesture was small, but in the Senate chamber, it was thunder. "I will not detain Master Mace Windu without a formal Senate vote," Commander Fox said. "And without confirmation from the Republic Security Council." Masameda's face went very still. A murmur rose through the chamber. Shock, awe, anger. Padme Amidala exhaled. Not relief, but a recognition that the night had just tipped. A soldier had refused a politician. The Republic had not heard that sound in a long time. Masameda's voice came out soft, poisonous. "Then the Republic has already begun to fall apart." Bail Organa's gaze did not waver. "Then we will rebuild it," Bail Organa said. Mace Windu met Commander Fox's visor and gave the smallest nod, a warrior's acknowledgement. For now, there would be no blood spilled in the Senate chamber. But Padme Amidala knew with sick clarity that the men who wanted blood would simply choose a darker room. The Jedi Temple at night was a different creature than the temple at dawn. In daylight, its halls felt open, full of purpose. At night, when the city's roar became a distant throb and the temple's own lights softened, the building felt older, less like a school and more like a monastery built on a cliff. Mace Windu walked beside Anakin Skywalker through the long corridor lined with statues of ancient Jedi masters. The carvings watched them with stony patience, hands folded, faces serene. It felt like walking through a hall of ancestors who had all died believing the Order would endure. Anakin Skywalker's boots echoed too loudly. His hands were clenched so tightly his knuckles shone pale. He did not look at the statues. He looked ahead, as if anything to either side might swallow him. Mace Windu's own exhaustion moved under his skin like a bruise. He had faced Sith lightning, had faced the Senate's teeth, and none of that had drained him the way this did. The quiet aftermath where consequences began to breathe. Anakin Skywalker broke the silence. "You didn't have to kill Chancellor Palpatine." Mace Windu's jaw tightened. "Chancellor Palpatine would have killed us," Mace Windu said. "Chancellor Palpatine nearly did." "That's not an answer," Anakin Skywalker said. Mace Windu stopped walking. Anakin Skywalker halted too, forced by the sudden stillness beside him. Mace Windu turned to face him. "Anakin Skywalker," Mace Windu said, voice low. "What is it you are truly asking?" Anakin Skywalker's mouth opened, then closed. For a moment the mask slipped and Mace Windu saw the boy from Tatooine behind the warrior, frightened, stubborn, desperate to be told the world could still be controlled. Anakin Skywalker's voice came out rough. "If Chancellor Palpatine was Sith," Anakin Skywalker said, "then Chancellor Palpatine knew things. Things the Jedi don't. Things—" He stopped, swallowing. "Things that could have saved Padme Amidala." Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "Padme Amidala is in danger." Anakin Skywalker's shoulders rose defensively. "No," Anakin Skywalker lied too quickly. "Padme Amidala is fine." Mace Windu could have pressed. He could have demanded the truth. But he felt the fracture in Anakin Skywalker's mind and knew pressure might turn it into shattering. Mace Windu chose a different blade. "Fear makes liars of all of us," Mace Windu said. "Even Jedi." Anakin Skywalker's eyes flashed. "Then why do you act like you're above it?" Mace Windu's face hardened, then softened by a fraction. "I'm not above it," Mace Windu said. "I'm trained not to feed it." Anakin Skywalker's breathing quickened. "You fed it tonight." Mace Windu felt the sting of that accusation because it was close enough to truth to cut. "I did what the Force demanded," Mace Windu said. Anakin Skywalker's laugh was bitter. "The Force," Anakin Skywalker repeated. "The Force demanded you kill a man on his knees." Mace Windu stepped closer, voice quiet, dangerous. "That man," Mace Windu said, "was not on his knees. That man was pretending, waiting for you. Chancellor Palpatine was trying to make you his weapon." Anakin Skywalker's face twisted. "And you decided the only way to stop that was to kill him?" "Yes," Mace Windu said. The honesty hung between them like a drawn sword. Anakin Skywalker's gaze fell to the floor. Then you decided my choice for me. Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. Anakin Skywalker, Mace Windu said. Your choice was being poisoned. Anakin Skywalker looked up, eyes bright with anger and something like grief. You don't know what it's like, Anakin Skywalker said. To have someone see you. To have someone believe you're more than the Council's warnings. Mace Windu felt the ache of it. He remembered being young, being strong, being feared for that strength. He had learned to turn that fear into discipline. Anakin Skywalker had learned to turn it into hunger. Mace Windu spoke carefully. The Council failed you, Mace Windu said. I failed you. And Chancellor Palpatine exploited that failure. Noi. And T. And Getter. Anakin Skywalker's face went still, as if he hadn't expected an admission. So, what now? Anakin Skywalker asked, voice small beneath the anger. Mace Windu held his gaze. Now we do not pretend you are fine, Mace Windu said. Now you speak with Yoda. Anakin Skywalker's mouth tightened. Yoda will tell me to let go. Yes, Mace Windu said. Because letting go is the only way you don't become a chain. Anakin Skywalker stared at him, and Mace Windu could feel the war inside him. Love as devotion, love as possession, fear disguised as loyalty. Mace Windu placed a hand on Anakin Skywalker's shoulder. It was a rare gesture from him, almost unfamiliar. You are not alone, Mace Windu said. But you will be, if you keep letting Sith whisper in your ear, even dead ones. Anakin Skywalker's eyes flicked away. Dead ones, Anakin Skywalker murmured, and the way he said it made Mace Windu's stomach tighten. Mace Windu withdrew his hand and resumed walking. Come, Mace Windu said. The night isn't finished. Anakin Skywalker followed because he still did not know how to stop. On Kashyyyk, the night sang. The jungle did not know politics. It did not care about Senate titles or Sith lies. It breathed and grew and killed and renewed itself with brutal honesty. Yoda sat on a root thick as a pillar, eyes closed, small hands resting on his knees. Around him, Wookiee warriors stood guard, their fur dark in the torch-like glow of bioluminescent insects drifting through the leaves. The air was damp and heavy with life. But the force around Yoda was not heavy tonight. It was strange, like a pressure that had released, leaving a ringing silence behind. Yoda's ears twitched. He felt it again. The great absence. The Sith shadow had vanished, and yet the dark side did not recede the way it should have. It churned instead, restless, like a beast whose handler had dropped the leash. Yoda breathed in, slow, and let his mind sink deeper. Within the Force, a corridor opened, narrow, shimmering, fragile. Yoda followed it, not with feet but with will. Images flickered, Coruscant's towers in stormlight. Mace Windu's face grim, Anakin Skywalker's eyes wild. Then, another presence. It was not loud. It did not crash into Yoda's senses the way the Sith did. It arrived like a candle in a dark room, quiet, steady, gentle. Yoda, a voice whispered, and the sound of it warmed something old in Yoda's chest. Yoda's eyes opened, pupils narrowing. Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda said, the name shaped carefully, reverently, as if speaking it wrong might break the moment. The air before him shimmered, and for a heartbeat Yoda saw a figure. Not fully formed, not flesh, but a suggestion of a man in Jedi robes, his face kind and stubborn, his eyes full of that infuriating certainty he had always carried. Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda repeated, quieter. Long you have waited. Qui-Gon Jinn's presence pulsed, like a smile you could feel more than see. And you are finally ready to hear, Qui-Gon Jinn said. Yoda's brow furrowed. Ready? The galaxy burns. The galaxy always burns, Qui-Gon Jinn replied. But the way through the fire changes. Yoda's ears drooped slightly. Mace Windu, done a thing, Yoda said. Killed, the Sith Lord is. A pause. Then Qui-Gon Jinn's presence tightened, not in anger but in acknowledgement. "Yes," Qui-Gon Jinn said. "The Sith Lord fell. But the Sith did not vanish. The dark side is not a person. It is a hunger." "Meoida." Yoda's claws flexed against his knees. "And Anakin Skywalker?" Yoda asked. Qui-Gon Jinn's voice softened. "Anakin Skywalker is a storm looking for a shore," Qui-Gon Jinn said. "If you meet him with walls, he will break them. If you meet him with truth, he might learn to stand." Yoda felt shame flicker. Old shame, for all the times he'd dismissed Qui-Gon Jinn's instincts as reckless. "Failed him we did," Yoda admitted. "Yes," Qui-Gon Jinn said simply. "So stop failing him." Yoda's gaze lifted to the canopy above, where insects glowed like stars trapped in leaves. "Teach me," Yoda said, voice barely audible. "What must I do?" Qui-Gon Jinn's presence seemed to lean closer. "You must learn to let go of the order you thought you were protecting," Qui-Gon Jinn said, "and protect the living instead." Yoda's heart tightened. The order? Without it, the Jedi are nothing. Qui-Gon Jinn's answer was gentle and brutal. "The Jedi were never meant to be an institution first," Qui-Gon Jinn said. "They were meant to be a promise." Yoda closed his eyes again, feeling the words settle like stones. A Wookiee chuffed softly nearby, sensing the shift in the air. Yoda opened his eyes, looking straight ahead into the darkness. "Return to Coruscant I must," Yoda said. Qui-Gon Jinn's presence flickered. "Yes," Qui-Gon Jinn said, "because the Sith Lord's death was only the first truth. The next truth will hurt more." Yoda's ears lifted slightly. "What truth?" Qui-Gon Jinn's voice became faint, like a candle guttering. "The Republic does not know how to live without fear," Qui-Gon Jinn said. "And fear always seeks a new king." The presence faded. The jungle's sounds rushed back in, loud and living. Yoda sat still on the root, small beneath the towering trees, and for the first time in a long time he felt something like dread. Not of the Sith, but of what the Republic might do to itself, now that no Sith held the reins. Yoda rose slowly and turned to the Wookiee warriors. "Prepare ship," Yoda said. "Coruscant, we go." The Wookiees nodded, and in their deep, rumbling voices, Yoda heard an oath older than any Senate vote. The jungle did not know politics, but it knew war. Mas Amedda's grief vanished the moment the doors sealed. The private chamber deep within the Senate complex was soundproofed and stripped of pageantry. Here there were no banners, no public eyes, only a table of polished stone and a circle of men and women whose loyalty had been purchased with proximity to power. A holoscreen floated above the table, flickering with the Senate chamber's feed. Bail Organa's face appeared, calm and defiant. Padme Amidala's profile flashed, fierce. Mace Windu stood like an accusation made flesh. Mas Amedda watched without blinking. "Vice Chair," a man murmured. Sate Pestage, thin and careful, his voice like paper. "The Senate is unstable." Mas Amedda's lips curled. "The Senate is frightened," Mas Amedda said. "And frightened men will accept chains if you call them protection." A woman in crimson stepped closer, one of the Chancellor's aides whose name Mas Amedda barely remembered because she had always been irrelevant. Tonight she looked like a conspirator from an old court, eyes glittering. "The Jedi presented evidence," she said. "If it is verified." "It will not be verified," Mas Amedda said calmly. Sate Pestage swallowed. "Master Windu has copies. Bail Organa will push for independent review. Senator Padme Amidala." "Senator Padme Amidala is sentimental," Mas Amedda said. "And sentiment is a weakness. We will use it." On the table lay code cylinders, official, gleaming. Beside them, a pair of red guard helmets sat like silent witnesses. The Emperor's guards. They would have been called soon if the plan had continued. Now they were simply the remnants of a future that had died too early. Mas Amedda's fingers brushed one code cylinder. Chancellor Palpatine built contingencies, Mace Windu said. Layers, protocols, orders that do not require the Chancellor's hand once the machine is moving. One of the loyalists leaned forward, voice eager. Order 66. Mace Windu's gaze snapped to him. Do not speak that aloud, Mace Windu hissed. The loyalist recoiled. Mace Windu exhaled slowly, regaining control. We will not invoke anything without absolute certainty, Mace Windu said. Not yet. Said Pestige's voice was thin. Without Chancellor Palpatine, the command authentication. Mace Windu's expression turned cold. Chancellor Palpatine anticipated death, Mace Windu said. Chancellor Palpatine feared nothing except failure. Do you think Chancellor Palpatine would allow the Republic's security to hinge on a single pulse? Said Pestige hesitated. Then what do you propose? Mace Windu stared at the holoscreen where Bail Organa was speaking now, his words unreadable without sound. We propose narrative, Mace Windu said. We propose that the Jedi, having attempted to seize control, murdered the Chancellor when he resisted. We propose that Senator Bail Organa and Senator Padme Amidala are accomplices. Nah, kai, oh. A murmur of approval ran through the circle. And Master Windu? Someone asked. Mace Windu's smile was thin. Master Windu will be painted as the Blade, Mace Windu said. Anakin Skywalker will be painted as the proof. Said Pestige frowned. Anakin Skywalker? Mace Windu's eyes glittered. Anakin Skywalker was close to Chancellor Palpatine, Mace Windu said. If Anakin Skywalker is seen grieving, confused, betrayed by the Jedi, the people will believe. Said Pestige looked uncertain. And if Anakin Skywalker does not cooperate? Mace Windu leaned back, fingers steepled. Then Anakin Skywalker will be made into a tragedy, Mace Windu said softly. A hero killed by Jedi treachery. Martyrs are useful. The circle went quiet. Mace Windu watched the holoscreen again. Mace Windu's lips moved. Perhaps speaking of truth, perhaps speaking of duty. Mace Windu felt an old, sour anger rise. Chancellor Palpatine had promised Mace Windu an empire. Mace Windu had spent years building scaffolding for that promise. Laws, votes, emergency powers. Now the Sith Lord lay dead, and the Empire had slipped through their fingers like smoke. Mace Windu's hand curled around the code cylinder until his knuckles whitened. No, Mace Windu murmured. Not smoke. Mace Windu's gaze sharpened. We will retrieve the body, Mace Windu said. Said Pestige's eyes widened. It's under Jedi guard. Mace Windu's smile returned, colder. Then we will test how loyal the guards are, Mace Windu said. And how deep the Republic's fear goes when the Jedi are painted as regicides. A loyalist swallowed. Vice Chair. This could start civil war. Mace Windu's eyes didn't blink. Civil war is simply the Republic admitting what it has become, Mace Windu said. And once it breaks, we will be the ones holding the pieces. The holoscreen flickered. Padme Amidala's face appeared, defiant, speaking with passion. Mace Windu watched, and in his mind he already composed the story he would tell the galaxy. A noble senator led astray by a Jedi lover, a traitorous council seeking power, a republic forced to choose security over idealism. Mace Windu stood. Prepare the Red Guard, Mace Windu ordered. Quietly, and get me access to the Chancellor's private archive. Saint Pestige hesitated. Vice Chair, if the Jedi have already secured it. Mace Windu's smile was a slit. Then we will bleed the Jedi, Mace Windu said. And if they bleed, the Senate will call it proof. The conspirators moved, shadows slipping into motion. And somewhere deep in Coruscant's power bones, the machine Chancellor Palpatine had built began to turn without him. The attack came not like a battle, but like a theft. Mace Windu left the Senate complex under uneasy truce, escorted by temple guards, and a reluctant Coruscant Guard detail Commander Fox insisted on providing for public order. The night air outside tasted of rain and exhaust, The sky bridges between towers slick and gleaming, lights from distant traffic refracting into smeared gold. Mace Windu felt the Force twitch, a warning, subtle but sharp. "Stop," Mace Windu murmured. The group halted beneath an archway where stone met durasteel, the architecture of Coruscant trying to look eternal. Temple guards tightened formation. Clone troopers raised their rifles, confused. Then the crimson figures emerged from the rain like a memory of a throne that had not yet been built. Red guards, Chancellor Palpatine's personal protectors, moved with unnerving silence. Their armor drank the city light, their helmets expressionless. Electrostaffs crackled in their hands, blue arcs snapping like serpents. One stepped forward. "Master Jedi," the guard said, voice hidden behind the helm's grill. "By order of the Vice Chair, you will surrender Chancellor Palpatine's remains and all materials confiscated from the Executive Office." Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "The Vice Chair has no authority over Sith evidence," Mace Windu said. The guard's staff hummed louder. "By order of the Republic," the guard corrected. Commander Fox's clone troopers shifted uneasily. They were trained to obey the Chancellor's security apparatus. The Red Guard symbolized power in a way that made even disciplined soldiers pause. Mace Windu stepped forward, alone, robe fluttering slightly in the wind. "There is no Republic in what you're doing," Mace Windu said. "Only fear." The Red Guard did not respond with words. The lead guard surged forward, electrostaff swinging in a brutal arc dart. Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber with a snap hiss, violet light splashing across wet stone like spilled wine. He caught the electrostaff on the blade, sparks spraying, the crackle of energy sharp in the rain. Temple guards moved in behind him, staves raised, forming a defensive crescent. Clone troopers lifted rifles, then hesitated, caught between orders and instinct. The Red Guards attacked as a unit, disciplined and merciless. Electrostaffs jabbed for knees, ribs, throats, moves designed to incapacitate Jedi without the spectacle of blaster fire. Mace Windu deflected and countered with ruthless efficiency, Vapad's rhythm returning like a dangerous heartbeat. A staff thrust toward Mace Windu's face. He turned, blade sliding along the staff's length, slicing through the weapon's head. The staff died with a fizz. Mace Windu kicked the guard back into the rain-slick railing. Temple guards engaged the others, staffs clashing, sparks flying. It looked like knights in a storm, red, scarlet, and violet under the city's drowned glow. The sound was intimate, metal meeting energy, breath meeting panic. Commander Fox's voice barked through the calm. "Stand down! Stand down!" His troopers did not. They fired warning shots into the sky bridge's far wall, bolts splashing light and smoke. The Red Guards ignored them entirely, their focus fixed on Mace Windu like hounds on a stag. Mace Windu felt anger flare, anger at Masameda's audacity, at Palpatine's lingering hand, at the way the Republic's protectors were being used as assassins. He swallowed the anger and turned it into motion. Mace Windu stepped inside a Red Guard swing, caught the staff with his free hand, and yanked, pulling the guard off balance. The violet blade flashed, severing the staff and slicing across the guard's chest plate, leaving a smoking gouge. The guard collapsed, armor hissing. The last two Red Guards hesitated, recalculating. Their mission was to retrieve, not to die. They retreated a step, then another, rain running down their helmets like blood. Mace Windu's blade remained lit, unwavering. "Tell Masameda," Mace Windu said, voice like stone, "that Palpatine's guards will not guard his lies." The Red Guards turned and vanished into the rain, slipping down a side corridor like a secret. Commander Fox stepped closer, helmet tilted toward Mace Windu. "Master Jedi," Commander Fox said, voice strained. "This is escalating." "It was always escalating," Mace Windu said, deactivating his blade. The violet light died, leaving only storm and city glow. "You're just seeing it now." Mace Windu looked toward the distant Senate spire, its lights burning warm and false. He felt the machine turning, felt Masameta tightening the story like a noose. This had been an ambush, yes. But it had also been a message. The old order would not surrender quietly, even with its Sith Lord dead. Mace Windu turned back toward the temple, jaw clenched. "Move," Mace Windu ordered. The group resumed, footsteps quickening. Behind them the rain kept falling, washing blood and sparks into the gutters of Coruscant, as if the city wanted to pretend none of it had happened. Yoda returned to Coruscant with the quiet speed of a blade being drawn. He arrived not with fanfare, not with Senate escort, but with a simple temple shuttle that slipped through the stormy night like a ghost. When Yoda stepped into the temple halls, the air around him felt different, not calmer, but more focused, as if the Force itself leaned toward him. Mace Windu met Yoda in the temple's war room, his face drawn with exhaustion. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood nearby, dust still clinging to his boots, his eyes bloodshot from travel and grief. Anakin Skywalker lingered in the shadows, present but distant. No one wasted time on greetings. The galaxy had already taken too much time. "We go," Mace Windu said to Yoda, handing over the copy datapad. Under the executive office, a Sith lair. Yoda's eyes narrowed. "Seen. I must." Obi-Wan Kenobi's gaze flicked to Anakin Skywalker. "Anakin Skywalker should not." Anakin Skywalker's voice cut in, tight. "Anakin Skywalker will go." Mace Windu held Anakin Skywalker's gaze for a long beat, then nodded. "Stay close," Mace Windu said. "Say nothing unless asked." They moved in silence through the city's hidden arteries, back through the sealed passage, down into the black chamber that felt like a wound in the Republic's foundation. The Sith sanctum greeted them with cold air and the taste of old smoke. Yoda stepped in first, his small form framed by temple guard lights. His eyes swept the runes carved into the stone, the relics, the holocron pulsing faintly red. Yoda's ears drooped slightly. "Here," Yoda murmured. "For years, beneath us." Obi-Wan Kenobi swallowed, anger flickering. "Chancellor Palpatine sat in the Senate and gave speeches about democracy," Obi-Wan Kenobi said. "Then came down here to worship darkness." Mace Windu activated the holo recordings he'd copied. The air filled with distorted voices. Darth Sidious's smooth menace speaking to Viceroy Newt Gunray, to Count Dooku, to General Grievous. Names that had haunted the war. Orders given with calm certainty. Obi-Wan Kenobi's face tightened as he listened. He had fought men on the battlefield and believed he understood evil. Hearing it speak in measured tones made his stomach turn. Anakin Skywalker stood at the edge of the light, jaw clenched. When Darth Sidious's voice filled the chamber, Anakin Skywalker flinched as if struck. The voice was familiar in a way that made his skin crawl, warm in memory, poisonous in truth. Yoda turned toward the holocron, eyes narrowed. "Temptation it is," Yoda said. Mace Windu kept his distance. "We haven't opened it," Mace Windu said. "It remains sealed." Yoda's gaze slid to Anakin Skywalker. "Sealed it remains," Yoda echoed, and the weight of the repetition was a warning. Anakin Skywalker's hands flexed at his sides. "It's knowledge," Anakin Skywalker said, voice strained. "Knowledge the Jedi refused to understand. Knowledge that could have." Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice snapped. "Anakin Skywalker." Anakin Skywalker shut his mouth, eyes flashing. Yoda looked at the black stone around them. "Not only the Sith did this," Yoda said quietly. "Blindness ours was." Mace Windu's shoulders tightened. "We suspected," Mace Windu said. "But suspicion without proof was useless." Yoda's eyes softened. "Proof, we have," Yoda said. "And yet, dangerous it is." Obi-Wan Kenobi frowned. "Dangerous how?" Yoda's gaze drifted to the runes, to the relics, to the way the air seemed to cling to them. "Darkness leaves seeds," Yoda said. "Planted they have been, in Senate, in army, in hearts." Mace Windu's fingers tightened around the datapad. "Then we expose it," Mace Windu said. We cleanse it. Yoda's ears lifted slightly. Cleanse, Yoda repeated, and in the word was doubt. Obi-Wan Kenobi's brow furrowed. Master Yoda, what is it? Yoda looked up at them all, his gaze like a lantern in a crypt. If break, the Republic does, Yoda said. Then choose, the Jedi must. Hold pieces together, or save people from pieces. Mace Windu's jaw clenched. We can do both. Yoda's expression held compassion and sorrow. Maybe, Yoda said. But the Force, it is not kind to those who try to hold everything. Anakin Skywalker's breath came faster, agitation growing. So what do? Anakin Skywalker demanded. We just step aside and let Mas Amedda paint us as traitors? Mace Windu turned toward Anakin Skywalker, voice controlled. We do not step aside, Mace Windu said. We do not seize power. We tell the truth, and we let the Senate decide what kind of republic it wants to be. Nah. Obi-Wan Kenobi's eyes were weary. And if the Senate chooses fear, Yoda's voice came soft. Then a new path, we walk. For a moment, the chamber's cold felt deeper. Then Anakin Skywalker's gaze locked onto the holocron, hunger and fear battling behind his eyes. Mace Windu felt it, the pull. The Sith relic calling not with sound but with promise. Mace Windu stepped subtly between Anakin Skywalker and the dais. Anakin Skywalker noticed and stiffened, anger rising. Yoda's eyes flicked between them. Careful, Yoda warned. Thin the line is. Obi-Wan Kenobi exhaled, and the sound was grief for a galaxy that had turned into a room like this, full of dark objects and hard choices. Mace Windu deactivated the holo recording. The Sith voice died, leaving only their breathing and the holocron's dull pulse. Above them, the Republic argued. Below, the Sith's shadow waited to see what would replace it. On Mandalore, the air tasted of smoke and iron. The city's domes and spires rose like a crown over a world that had forgotten how to be peaceful. Fires burned in the streets where blaster bolts had struck fuel lines. The sound of war echoed off curved walls, turning alleys into drums. Ahsoka Tano moved through it like a blade that refused to dull. Her white lightsabers cut arcs of pale light through the haze, each movement precise, disciplined, full of a warrior's weary grace. Clone troopers, marked with blue and bearing the quiet confidence of soldiers who believed they were doing the right thing, advanced behind her, covering angles, taking positions. Bo-Katan Kryze fought at Ahsoka Tano's side, her Mandalorian armor dented, her face fierce. He's moving toward the lower levels, Bo-Katan Kryze shouted. I know, Ahsoka Tano said, breath steady despite the chaos. Her senses were wide, the Force around her alive with fear and fury. Somewhere ahead, she felt him like a bruise. Darth Maul. He had not been the war's architect the way Darth Sidious had been, but he was a shard of that darkness, sharp and eager, and Ahsoka Tano could feel how much he wanted the galaxy to burn. They reached a vaulted chamber beneath the city's surface, a place that had once been ceremonial and now felt like a dungeon. Torches flickered along the walls, their light turning smoke into writhing ghosts. Darth Maul stood at the far end, crimson lightsaber ignited, his face lit in hellish red. His horns cast jagged shadows over his yellow eyes. He looked less like a man, and more like an old story given flesh. Ahsoka Tano, Darth Maul purred, voice rich with amusement. I wondered when you would come. Ahsoka Tano's jaw tightened. Surrender, Ahsoka Tano said. This is over. Darth Maul laughed, and the sound was too pleased. Over. Darth Maul repeated. The true war is only beginning. Bo-Katan Kryze raised a blaster. Enough, Bo-Katan Kryze snarled. Ahsoka Tano lifted a hand, stopping her. Darth Maul is mine, Ahsoka Tano said. Darth Maul's eyes glittered. Mine? Darth Maul echoed. You still speak like the Jedi taught you, like you belong to something. Ahsoka Tano's grip tightened on her hilts. Ahsoka Tano belongs to the people Darth Maul is hurting, Ahsoka Tano said. That's enough. Darth Maul moved. The duel erupted like a storm breaking. Red met white, sparks flying, the air humming with energy. Darth Maul attacked with savage elegance, spinning, pressing, laughter bubbling beneath his strikes. Ahsoka Tano parried, pivoted, used his momentum against him. You're too late, Darth Maul hissed mid-clash. Darth Sidious has already set the trap. Ahsoka Tano's eyes narrowed. What trap? Darth Maul's grin widened, and for a heartbeat the grin held genuine glee. Darth Sidious will be crowned, Darth Maul said, and the Jedi will be slaughtered. The words hit Ahsoka Tano like cold water. Her mind flashed to Anakin Skywalker, to Obi-Wan Kenobi, to the temple on Coruscant. Fear tried to climb her spine. Ahsoka Tano pushed it down. Ahsoka Tano feinted left, then snapped right, catching Darth Maul off balance. Her white blade cut across his saber staff, slicing it cleanly. Darth Maul's eyes widened in fury. Ahsoka Tano used the opening. With a swift force shove, Ahsoka Tano drove Darth Maul backward into a waiting containment field projected by clone troopers. Blue energy flared, caging him. Darth Maul slammed against it, snarling, hands clawing at the barrier like an animal. Bo-Katan Kryze stepped forward, breath hard. We've got him, Bo-Katan Kryze said, disbelief mixing with triumph. Darth Maul's laughter returned, softer now. You think you've won, Darth Maul murmured. Ahsoka Tano stepped closer, keeping her sabers lit. Darth Maul said Darth Sidious would be crowned, Ahsoka Tano said, voice cold. Who is Darth Sidious? Darth Maul's eyes gleamed. The shadow in your republic, Darth Maul whispered. The smile behind your Senate. Ahsoka Tano's heart hammered. Tell me, Ahsoka Tano demanded. Darth Maul's grin turned sharp. If I tell you, Darth Maul said, will you believe me? Or will you run back to your Jedi masters and beg them to listen like you always wanted them to? Ahsoka Tano's jaw clenched. Pain flickered. Old pain of being cast out, of being doubted. Ahsoka Tano leaned closer, eyes unwavering. Ahsoka Tano doesn't need the Jedi to know the truth, Ahsoka Tano said. Ahsoka Tano needs the truth to stop Darth Sidious. Darth Maul's laugh softened, almost tender. Then listen, Darth Maul whispered. Darth Sidious is... Ahsoka Tano felt it then, a sudden ripple in the Force like a great chain snapping. Darth Maul froze, eyes widening. Somewhere, far across the stars, something had changed. Darth Maul pressed his face close to the containment field, voice suddenly urgent. He's dead, Darth Maul breathed, astonished. Darth Sidious is dead. Ahsoka Tano's blood turned to ice. What? Darth Maul's expression twisted, equal parts fury and exhilaration. The throne is empty, Darth Maul said, and his eyes burned brighter. And now everyone will rush to fill it. Ahsoka Tano stared at him, feeling the galaxy tilt. If Darth Sidious was dead, then Anakin Skywalker. No. Ahsoka Tano forced the thought away. No assumptions. Only action. Ahsoka Tano turned to the clone commander. Prepare for immediate departure, Ahsoka Tano ordered. We go to Coruscant. Bo-Katan Kryze's eyes widened. No. Ahsoka Tano didn't look away from Darth Maul, whose grin had returned like a wound. Now, Ahsoka Tano said, because something just broke. Darth Maul laughed behind the crackling blue field, and the sound followed them like prophecy. The Senate chamber's chaos did not end when the session adjourned. It simply changed shape. In the corridors beyond, senators gathered in murmuring knots like rival houses after a contentious vote. Guards stood at every archway, their presence less reassurance than reminder. Power was always backed by someone willing to carry a weapon. Bail Organa moved with purpose through the marble hall, Padme Amidala beside him, her hand resting subtly against her stomach. Her face was composed, but her eyes tracked every movement like a woman walking through a palace full of knives. Obi-Wan Kenobi fell into step on Bail Organa's other side, robe dusty, expression tired. Mace Windu walked just ahead, temple guards flanking him like silent sentinels. Anakin Skywalker trailed behind, separated by a few paces that felt like miles. He watched the senators as if searching for the one who might condemn him by accident. Bail Organa's voice stayed low. Maz Amedda will not relent, Bail Organa said. Maz Amedda is already pushing for an interim emergency council under his control. Mace Windu's jaw tightened. Maz Amedda served the Sith, Mace Windu said. Padme Amidala's eyes narrowed. Maz Amedda served power, Padme Amidala corrected. Maz Amedda will serve whoever looks most likely to survive. Obi-Wan Kenobi's gaze flicked to Anakin Skywalker, then back. Then we must make truth survive, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. Bail Organa nodded. I can rally enough senators to demand an independent review, Bail Organa said. But there is a problem. Mace Windu glanced back. Say it. Bail Organa's face hardened. The military, Bail Organa said. The clones. Maz Amedda cannot command them as Chancellor Palpatine did. Not yet. But Maz Amedda can create confusion. Maz Amedda can argue that the Jedi are a threat to the Republic's stability. No, Padme Amidala's voice went sharp. Maz Amedda can trigger the fear Chancellor Palpatine cultivated, Padme Amidala said. And the Senate will thank him for it. Obi-Wan Kenobi exhaled. Mace Windu found contingency orders, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. Orders that allow military action against the Jedi. Bail Organa's steps slowed. He stared at Obi-Wan Kenobi, disbelief draining from his face and leaving only dread. Orders like that exist? Bail Organa asked. Mace Windu nodded. Order 66, Mace Windu said, the words tasting wrong. A contingency order to eliminate Jedi leadership as traitors to the Republic. Padme Amidala's blood ran cold. That's madness, Padme Amidala whispered. It's preparation, Mace Windu said. Palpatine built a republic that could be turned into an executioner. Bail Organa's jaw clenched. Then we must prevent anyone from invoking it, Bail Organa said. We must secure the command codes. Obi-Wan Kenobi's eyes tightened. If the clones can be ordered to kill Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, then Jedi are one phrase away from slaughter. Anakin Skywalker's voice cut in from behind a raw door. Then why did Chancellor Palpatine need me? Anakin Skywalker asked. They turned. Anakin Skywalker stood in the corridor's shadow, rain still damp in his hair, his eyes bright with pain. Mace Windu studied him, expression unreadable. Chancellor Palpatine wanted you because you are more than an order, Mace Windu said. Chancellor Palpatine wanted you because you are legend. If you had stood beside Chancellor Palpatine, the galaxy would have followed. No. Anakin Skywalker's throat worked. And now, Anakin Skywalker said, voice breaking, I'm just evidence. Padme Amidala's heart clenched. Anakin Skywalker, Padme Amidala began, stepping toward him. Anakin Skywalker's eyes snapped to her, and for a heartbeat his expression softened, love cutting through the storm. Then it hardened again as fear returned. Bail Organa spoke carefully. Anakin Skywalker, Bail Organa said, you can still help. If the Senate believes you, Maz Amedda's narrative weakens. None. Anakin Skywalker's laugh was harsh. The Senate doesn't believe Jedi, Anakin Skywalker said. The Senate believes whatever keeps them safe. Padme Amidala's voice came firm. Then we make them safe, Padme Amidala said. With truth. Mace Windu's gaze moved from Padme Amidala to Anakin Skywalker, and something in his expression shifted. Recognition, perhaps, of what Anakin Skywalker was trying so hard to hide. Mace Windu's voice lowered. Anakin Skywalker, Mace Windu said, your loyalty will be tested. Not by the Sith. By the Republic itself. Anakin Skywalker swallowed. And if I fail? Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped forward, eyes gentle despite exhaustion. Then we catch you before you fall, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. Anakin Skywalker's eyes flickered, a fragile gratitude that vanished almost immediately. Bail Organa exhaled. We need a plan, Bail Organa said. A clear one, before Masa Meta turns this into a purge. Mace Windu nodded once. We secure the evidence, Mace Windu said. We keep the Jedi calm. We prepare the temple. Padme Amidala's voice was low. And we prepare the Senate, Padme Amidala said. Because senators who feel cornered will choose monsters. A distant shout echoed down the corridor, senators arguing, guards barking orders. The Republic's great hallways felt suddenly like a castle on the brink of siege. And somewhere in the shadows, Anakin Skywalker's hand drifted toward his lightsaber again, not out of threat, but out of a desperate need to feel something solid in a world that kept dissolving. Anakin Skywalker stole into the chamber like a man returning to a crime scene. The temple at night held pockets of silence so deep they felt like water. The corridors were lit with soft amber, the kind of light meant for meditation, not secrets. Anakin Skywalker moved through it without meeting anyone's gaze, hood up, steps careful. He told himself he was looking for calm. He was looking for proof. The small chamber he entered was used for private reflection. No statues, no ornate tapestries, only a clean floor and a window high above that, let in a sliver of Coruscant's stormlight. Here, the city's glow became a pale wash, turning everything into shades of gray. Anakin Skywalker knelt and reached into his robe. His fingers closed around a small device, metal, smooth, warm from being held too long. A holorecorder. He had taken it from Chancellor Palpatine's office during the confusion. It had been so easy. The guards had been looking at Mace Windu, at the body, at the smoke. No one had been looking at Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker's thumb hovered over the activation switch. He could hear Mace Windu's voice in his mind. Dead ones can still whisper. He could hear Padme Amidala's voice too. Whatever bargain he was offering died with him. Anakin Skywalker swallowed. His heart hammered like a war drum. He activated the holorecorder. Blue light flickered. Chancellor Palpatine's face appeared, calm and composed, as if recorded on an ordinary evening. The holo was old, made before the mask had cracked, before the lightning had scorched away the illusion. Anakin Skywalker, Chancellor Palpatine said, voice warm with false affection. If you are watching this, then events have unfolded differently than I anticipated. Anakin Skywalker's breath caught. The recording wasn't responding. It wasn't speaking to him, and yet it felt like it was. Chancellor Palpatine's hollow smile was gentle. You have always been impulsive, Chancellor Palpatine said, and the Jedi Council has always punished you for it. They fear what they cannot control. Anakin Skywalker's fingers tightened around the device. Chancellor Palpatine's voice softened. I want you to listen carefully, Chancellor Palpatine said. There are ways to keep the ones you love from death. The Jedi would call it unnatural. The Jedi would call it forbidden. But the Jedi do not understand love. The Jedi understand rules. Anakin Skywalker's throat tightened, eyes stinging. Chancellor Palpatine's smile sharpened. If I am dead, Chancellor Palpatine continued, then you have been deprived of your most useful teacher. But knowledge does not die with men. Knowledge can be preserved. The hollow flickered, and for an instant the light seemed darker, the features sharper. I have hidden what you need, Chancellor Palpatine said. Not in the temple where Jedi eyes prattle over ancient texts. Not in the Senate, where fools drown in procedure. I have hidden it where only the truly desperate will look. Anakin Skywalker's heartbeat thundered. Chancellor Palpatine's gaze seemed to pierce him, even as a recording. Do not trust Mace Windu, Chancellor Palpatine said. Mace Windu will tell you he acted for the Republic, but Mace Windu acted for pride. Mace Windu wanted to be the blade that ended the war, and now Mace Windu will try to carve you into his story. Anakin Skywalker's jaw clenched. Anger flared, at Mace Windu, at the Council, at himself for needing this voice. Chancellor Palpatine's tone warmed again. "You have a gift, Anakin Skywalker," Chancellor Palpatine said. "The Force bends around you like a storm. You will either learn to command it, or you will be drowned by it." Anakin Skywalker's breath shook. Chancellor Palpatine's hollow leaned forward slightly, the illusion of intimacy perfect. "If you want the answer," Chancellor Palpatine said, "then come alone. Below the Republic's heart. Beneath the place you always thought was safe." Anakin Skywalker stared, frozen, as if the recording had reached into his chest and wrapped fingers around his fear. The hollow ended with a soft click. The blue light died. Silence rushed back into the chamber like water into an empty vessel. Anakin Skywalker sat there, staring at the dead device in his hand, feeling the pull in his mind. Downward, into darkness, toward a promise that might be real or might be a trap laid by a man who had always known how to make hope sound like love. Anakin Skywalker closed his eyes and tried to breathe the way Obi-Wan Kenobi had taught him. In the darkness behind his eyelids, Padme Amidala's face appeared, pale and frightened. Anakin Skywalker's eyes snapped open. He stood. The holorecorder went back into his robe. Anakin Skywalker left the chamber without looking back, because looking back would mean admitting he had already chosen. The temple's landing platform was slick with rain when Ahsoka Tano arrived. The shuttle's ramp lowered with a hiss, and the night wind rushed in, carrying the scent of Coruscant, metal, exhaust, distant smoke. Ahsoka Tano stepped down first, cloak damp, eyes sharp. Bo-Katan cries followed, armor clinking faintly. Behind them, clone troopers filed out in disciplined lines, their blue-marked helmets reflecting the temple lights. Ahsoka Tano moved with the urgency of someone who had felt the galaxy snap. Mace Windu was waiting at the edge of the platform, flanked by temple guards. Yoda stood beside him, small and still, his presence steady as stone. Obi-Wan Kenobi hovered nearby, eyes widening at the sight of Ahsoka Tano, as if his heart had recognized her before his mind did. Ahsoka Tano halted, gaze flicking between them, taking stock in a heartbeat. Yoda's face looked more tired than she remembered. Mace Windu's robe was scorched. Obi-Wan Kenobi's shoulders carried a weight that wasn't only war. "Ahsoka Tano," Obi-Wan Kenobi said, voice thick with relief. "Thank the Force." Ahsoka Tano didn't smile. "Something happened," Ahsoka Tano said. "Darth Maul felt it." Darth Maul said Darth Sidious was dead. "No way." Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. "Darth Sidious is dead," Mace Windu confirmed. Bo-Katan Kryze's eyes widened. "You killed him?" Mace Windu didn't answer directly. "Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious," Mace Windu said. "The Republic is in chaos." Ahsoka Tano's jaw tightened. "Then Darth Maul was telling the truth," Ahsoka Tano said, and the words tasted bitter. Yoda's gaze fixed on Ahsoka Tano keen. "Captured Darth Maul is?" Ahsoka Tano nodded sharply. "Contained," Ahsoka Tano said. "Darth Maul is secure." Behind Ahsoka Tano, clone troopers wheeled a containment unit down the ramp. An armored prison emitting a faint blue shimmer, the hum of a field generator. Inside, in shadow, a horned silhouette shifted like a caged beast. Obi-Wan Kenobi stiffened. "Maul," Obi-Wan Kenobi murmured, old anger flickering. Darth Maul's laughter drifted through the field like smoke. "Kenobi," Darth Maul purred. "You look tired." Ahsoka Tano ignored him and stepped closer to Yoda, voice low. "Darth Maul said something else," Ahsoka Tano said. "Darth Maul said the Jedi would be slaughtered. Darth Maul said Darth Sidious had a trap. Nabirenki, Kamai, Endao." Mace Windu's expression darkened. "Contingency orders," Mace Windu said. "We found them." Ahsoka Tano's eyes widened. Orders for what? Yoda's ears drooped slightly. Kill Jedi, Yoda said simply. The bluntness of it made Ahsoka Tano's stomach twist. She looked at the clone troopers behind her. Men she had fought beside, men who had saved her life, men who had followed her into the smoke of Mandalore without hesitation. The idea that they might be turned into executioners felt like a nightmare. Bo-Katan Kryze's voice came sharp. And you're letting them stand here? Bo-Katan Kryze demanded, gesturing at the clones. Mace Windu's gaze moved to the clones, then back. We are not condemning soldiers for an order that has not been given, Mace Windu said. Ahsoka Tano felt something shift inside her, a small, fierce respect. She remembered being accused, being treated as guilty before proven innocent. She remembered the pain. Ahsoka Tano stepped forward. Then we stop the order, Ahsoka Tano said. We find out how it's triggered. We warn every Jedi. Obi-Wan Kenobi nodded. We must also warn the clones, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. If they are being used. Darth Maul laughed again, louder. So noble, Darth Maul mocked from his cage. So late. Ahsoka Tano's eyes snapped to him. Darth Maul, Ahsoka Tano said, voice cold. Tell us how the trap works. Darth Maul's grin flashed in the gloom. You want to know? Darth Maul said. You want to know how a republic becomes an empire? It doesn't happen with one man. It happens because everyone is afraid, and fear is easier than truth. Yoda's gaze did not leave Darth Maul's cage. Useful your tongue may be, Yoda said. But trusted, you are not. Darth Maul's laughter softened into something almost sad. Trust, Darth Maul murmured. The Jedi speak of trust while they tighten their fists. Ahsoka Tano stepped closer to the containment unit until the blue field hummed against the edge of her presence. Darth Maul, Ahsoka Tano said. Darth Sidious is dead. The throne is empty. Who will take it? Darth Maul's eyes glittered. Anyone who can, Darth Maul said. Maz Amedda, the Jedi. Perhaps even Anakin Skywalker. Ahsoka Tano's heart kicked. Don't say that, Ahsoka Tano snapped. Darth Maul's smile widened. You feel it too, Darth Maul said. The storm around him. Ahsoka Tano turned away, jaw clenched, forcing herself to breathe. She couldn't afford fear. She couldn't afford to be manipulated by a Sith who had built his life out of lies. Mace Windu stepped closer to Ahsoka Tano, voice low. You did well, Mace Windu said. Bringing him here was wise. Ahsoka Tano met Mace Windu's gaze. Ahsoka Tano didn't bring Darth Maul here for you, Ahsoka Tano said. Ahsoka Tano brought Darth Maul here because the galaxy is falling apart, and Ahsoka Tano refuses to watch. Yoda's eyes softened. Good, Yoda murmured. Refuse. We must. The temple lights flickered faintly as thunder rolled across Coruscant. For a heartbeat, standing there on the landing platform with a caged Sith and a bruised council, it felt like the beginning of an alliance forged not by law, but by necessity. It also felt like the first moment before siege engines appeared on the horizon. The council chamber felt different with Ahsoka Tano in it. She stood not on a seat. She had no seat. But near the center of the room, cloak damp at the hem, posture straight. The old chairs of the Jedi Masters formed a circle around her like a judgment that had never been fully rescinded. Tonight, no one spoke of that. Tonight, history had bigger teeth. Yoda sat in his chair with the stillness of ancient wood. Obi-Wan Kenobi stood beside him, hands folded, gaze tired but attentive. Mace Windu remained upright, refusing the comfort of a seat as if rest were a luxury he did not trust. Anakin Skywalker lingered near the window, staring out at Coruscant's storm-lit skyline, face half in shadow. Rain beat against the high windows in steady rhythm, like fingers tapping impatiently. Darth Maul's containment unit had been moved to a secured hangar level below, but his presence still felt like a bruise in the Force, pulsing faintly through the temple's stone. Yoda's voice cut through the silence. Dangerous, the next hours are. Mace Windu nodded. Mace Windu is mobilizing, Mace Windu said. The Red Guard attempted to seize evidence. The Senate is divided. No, wow. Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice was low. And the clones, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. If those contingency orders are real. They are, Mace Windu said. Ahsoka Tano spoke carefully. Then we find how they're triggered, Ahsoka Tano said. We warn the clone commanders. We tell them the truth before Mace Windu tells them a lie. Obi-Wan Kenobi's eyes softened at the practicality in her voice. That might work, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. If they listen. Anakin Skywalker's voice came from the window, flat. They listen to orders. Mace Windu's gaze flicked to Anakin Skywalker. And they also listen to respect, Mace Windu said. They fought with us. They bled with us. Anakin Skywalker turned, eyes sharp. They were made to fight, Anakin Skywalker said. Made to obey? You think respect matters more than programming? The word programming fell like a stone. Ahsoka Tano's jaw tightened. Clones are people, Ahsoka Tano said, voice edged. Anakin Skywalker's eyes flashed. Anakin Skywalker knows that, Anakin Skywalker said. Anakin Skywalker also knows what it feels like to be made for someone else's purpose. The room went quiet. Yoda watched Anakin Skywalker with a gaze that held both sorrow and steel. Hurt, you are, Yoda said. And fear you carry. Anakin Skywalker's laugh was bitter. Yoda always says that, Anakin Skywalker said. Fear, fear, fear. As if naming it makes it disappear. Yoda's ears drooped slightly. Naming it, Yoda said, makes it seen. Anakin Skywalker stared at Yoda, jaw clenched, then looked away again, back at the city. Chancellor Palpatine is dead, Anakin Skywalker said quietly. And still the visions come. Obi-Wan Kenobi's face tightened. Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker cut him off, voice rising. Anakin Skywalker saw Padme Amidala die, Anakin Skywalker said. Over and over. And Chancellor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, promised there was a way to stop it. Now that way is gone, and all of you are telling Anakin Skywalker to just... Ahsoka Tano stepped forward. No, Ahsoka Tano said. Ahsoka Tano is telling Anakin Skywalker to stop letting fear choose for him. Anakin Skywalker's head snapped toward Ahsoka Tano. You don't understand, Anakin Skywalker said, voice harsh. You walked away. You got to choose. None. Ahsoka Tano's eyes hardened. Ahsoka Tano didn't get to choose, Ahsoka Tano said. Ahsoka Tano got pushed. Ahsoka Tano learned to stand anyway. Mace Windu's voice cut in steady. Enough, Mace Windu said. We do not fracture here. Obi-Wan Kenobi exhaled slowly. We need a course of action, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. A republic without a chancellor needs an interim leader, or Mace Windu will claim the role by force. Bail Organa can rally support, but he needs the Jedi to be seen as protectors, not usurpers. Mace Windu nodded. Then we do something the Jedi have not done in generations, Mace Windu said. We step into the light. Yoda's eyes narrowed. The light burns, Yoda warned. Then we accept the burn, Mace Windu said. Ahsoka Tano's voice was firm. We release the evidence, Ahsoka Tano said. Not to the Senate alone, to the people. If Mace Windu controls the Senate, he controls the story. But if the story is already in the streets... Obi-Wan Kenobi nodded slowly. The people might demand accountability, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. Anakin Skywalker's voice was quiet, bitter. Or they might demand revenge, Anakin Skywalker said. Yoda's gaze remained on Anakin Skywalker. Qui-Gon Jinn spoke, Yoda said suddenly. The name made the room still. Obi-Wan Kenobi's head lifted sharply. Qui-Gon Jinn? Obi-Wan Kenobi repeated, voice thick with longing. Yoda nodded. Guided me, Qui-Gon Jinn did, Yoda said. Warned, fear will seek new king. Mace Windu's eyes narrowed. Massa Meta, Mace Windu murmured. Ahsoka Tano's expression tightened. Or someone worse, Ahsoka Tano said, and her gaze flicked briefly toward Anakin Skywalker. Not accusation. Warning. Love that did not trust fate. Anakin Skywalker felt the look and stiffened, anger rising. Anakin Skywalker isn't. Mace Windu's voice turned soft, dangerously sincere. Anakin Skywalker, Mace Windu said. You are not the enemy, but you are the door the enemy wants. Anakin Skywalker's throat worked. For a heartbeat, his eyes looked young again, hurt, furious, pleading for someone to say he could still be good. Then the storm returned. Then lock the door, Anakin Skywalker said, voice like a dare. Yoda's voice came gentle. Locked. A heart cannot be, Yoda said. Opened it must be. Thunder rolled across Coruscant, and the temple's ancient stones seemed to shiver. Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped closer to Anakin Skywalker, careful. Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi said. Stay with us tonight. Anakin Skywalker's gaze flicked to Obi-Wan Kenobi, then away. Anakin Skywalker will stay, Anakin Skywalker said, and the words sounded like obedience, not comfort. Ahsoka Tano's eyes narrowed slightly. She felt something in the Force. A subtle pull, a thread moving in the dark. Not Darth Maul. Not Massa Meta. Something closer. Mace Windu spoke, voice like a vow. At first light, we address the Senate and the people, Mace Windu said. We expose the Sith's hand. We demand the Republic choose truth. Yoda nodded slowly. Hard. It will be, Yoda said. Mace Windu's eyes held fire. Good, Mace Windu said. Hard means it matters. Outside, Coruscant's lights burned through rain, and somewhere beneath the city, in chambers carved from black stone, secrets waited for the desperate. Anakin Skywalker stared at the storm and felt the holorecorder's weight against his chest like a second heart. The council spoke of truth. Massa Meta spoke of order. And in the space between those words, Anakin Skywalker felt the thin and terrible possibility that the next king the Republic chose might not wear a crown at all.